Good morning, everyone. Mike and Corey here today. It looks sunny at Corey's office and it looks sunny at mine. So let's keep that going right into the weekend and let's see some green markets. Today's topics we're going to hit a little bit of humor, but then we'll dive into the more serious business of Trump versus Powell. Talk about, we got a big boxing match there. At least they're starting to throw down a little bit. I don't know if that's good or bad. Probably not good. Google versus the legislatures. Do they have a monopoly? I know in my screen, I can only type in www.google.com, right? No, I can pick anything. But anyways, how does Google have a monopoly if they do? And then lastly, I'm going to hit on something that's kind of driving the markets. You may see the Dow is down a bunch, maybe more than the S&P or NASDAQ. And that's because the Dow only has 30 price-weighted components, one of which is United Health, and it's down 22% today. So when you only have 30 components and one's down 22%, it moves the market. So at least that index of the Dow. So as we get started, this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything that you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on Ankerstarwealth.com. It's almost like a monopoly on that one, right? That's the only place you could find it. And then the opinions expressed are mine and Corey's alone. So take it away, Corey. What do you got here?
Hey, and let me know. I might cut it. It seems like my internet is struggling a little bit, almost like Google's stock price. So let me know if
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
You talk about a big outage. Yesterday, Spotify was out. I went on my walk and I was like, what's going on? I can't listen to a podcast. And then, I went back and I saw Spotify was down. My kids weren't calling me like, what's going on, Dad? Did you cancel this? But it was down. So go ahead. Take us Ford Motor Company.
Well, I saw this. I loved this article. This is the title. Nothing crazy here, but Ford may hike prices if Trump's auto tariffs persist. Memo says. If you're Ford, don't you want everyone to see this memo, right? Let's pull some demand forward here. Let's stir something up in those consumers out there. Let them know, hey, come get it while it's hot. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's create a sense of urgency to buy.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Companies have to raise prices. Like Netflix raised their price. Disney, Disney Plus raised their price. And people don't really want that. So why not blame it on someone else? It wasn't us that wanted to raise the price and make more money. It was Trump and tariffs.
Yeah.
But I do get that there is an impact there. So
yeah, and I just thought that was funny. I'd be like, if I'm internal at Ford, I'm sending this memo and I'm like, hey, send this to everyone. Like copy the news agencies. We want to create some urgency here. But getting into the more real stuff. A little bit of development in the Google court case, so ruling that Google does hold illegal online ad tech monopolies. This is also in relation to the search monopoly lawsuits against Google. And it's really funny to me, Mike, that Google is going through all these lawsuits in multiple different countries against their monopolistic characteristics in the search space. Meanwhile, consumers have never complained, right? It's not like consumers have thought, oh, Google is so bad for me, like you would typically see in a predatory monopolistic company. But but the market, does the market think Google has a monopoly on anything? Not at all. Google's stock has obviously, the fundamentals have performed fine over the years, but it's trading back at 2021 prices, and there's a lot of skepticism around whether or not Google can have a same level of market share in the AI search space as they did in the, I guess, Web 2.0 search space. I will say this, and Mike, you can throw on whatever you want too, but I tend to agree with what Joseph Carlson has said about search in general, which is that search itself is expanding. People use AI to search for things that they would have never even searched for on Google. because they know that the capabilities are different. I also tend to agree with Joseph Carlson that search has never been a monopoly for Google. Every website you go to has search bars. Amazon has been one of the most visited websites in the world for many years now, and people use their search bar like crazy. Every website you go to, I was just looking at Charles Schwab, there's a search bar. I was looking at NASDAQ.com, search bar. I was looking at YouTube as a search bar. That's also Google. But every website I go to, Mike, I can search within that website for things. So has Google really ever even had a monopoly on search? I tend to agree with Joseph Carlson that the way that search is defined is misleading, but of course the courts have a different view. So anyway,
well, I'd say this. So where the monopolistic practices come in is if you have the default browser. So think Netscape. Way back when, if you're 20 years ago, there was a browser, Netscape. It had a monopoly because it was the default. And then eventually they cracked it so it was no longer the default. You had Microsoft Explorer and Firefox, and I don't know if Netscape's got any part of the market share anymore. It's really quick to move out of that business. I remember I used to use yahoo.com. I actually look at Yahoo Finance sometimes, but I don't use Yahoo search engines. I don't use Yahoo email anymore. So where Google gets that default brand, that's what gets them in trouble on this. But anybody can, you could use Bing, which is Microsoft's. You could use ChatGPT. You could use Grok. You could use any of these. But it's just that default. So, anyways.
It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, the skepticism is priced into the stock. If you look, it's trading. It's on a valuation basis. Google's cheaper than almost anything. Walmart, it's cheaper than I don't know. Casey General Stores, it's cheaper than anything you can find.
Google's on sale. Google's on sale.
It is on sale if you believe that they've got that durable place in the market. And what's not even priced in? You've got Waymo isn't priced in. YouTube is bigger than Netflix. Is that fully priced in? So there's a lot that Google has beyond search. Oh, I didn't even mention the fastest growing part of their business, which is the cloud, Google Cloud Services. So, all right, then the drama. Can you believe Powell and Trump got in some drama yesterday? What? That's shocking.
Oh my gosh.
Shocking. Who could have predicted that? So Powell was at an economic forum yesterday, and I might have cut out.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay. Powell was at economic forum yesterday, and they kind of asked him, are you going to support the market if this stock weakness kind of basically persists? And he mentioned what Mike and I talked about the other day. These tariffs put some inflation pressure on. So the Fed doesn't want to lower rates into that. They kind of can't, even though, it would, in theory, be temporary. But also, the employment market isn't supportive of rate cuts right now either. So he's like basically saying, my hands are tied. Is Powell I don't think Powell is being disingenuous here, but here comes Trump. So obviously Trump has his motives, whatever they may be. He puts on, I think, his social media platform, all of these reasons why he thinks rates should be lowered now. And then, he ends it with Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. So what do you think, Mike? Is Powell going to be terminated?
I'm going to say, first of all, or not terminated, but he has a employment through, I want to say it's May of next year.
Next May.
Into 2026. And this is the reason why we have a independent Fed. And I think it's a good thing because, believe me, if presidents were pushing this, they're always going to be pushing their own financial agenda. And I believe certainly Trump wants what's best for the country. He wants the country to do well. It's just, Jerome Powell, he's lived this, he's studied this, he's neutral. You don't want to be juicing the rates and having inflation go up. And you also don't want to be what Trump says here. You don't want to be too late and cause the country to go into a recession. Um, you know, eh, is he going to be fired? He said last year, I can't be. Who knows? I mean, who would want to deal with this kind of pressure, anyways? Could you imagine? The president of the United States is dropping. I don't even know what they call it on Truth Social tweets. I don't know if this is a tweet, but leaving these messages and calling me nicknames. I personally wouldn't like that. So Trump, don't call me out. But we'll see where it all goes. We're watching these discount rates that Powell controls very closely as well, because they do influence the stock market. The stock market likes cheap money, and when you lower interest rates, the stock market gets more sugar high, cheap money, risk on, and when the interest rates are high like they are now, restrictive, not so much. All right, well, let me take it to the next.
Sorry,
and
stuff here.
Okay, so occasionally I talk about healthcare stocks, and I'm just going to start off by saying United Health Group, which actually won our stock challenge. It was the one that performed the best. Over those last 3 weeks, it was like up almost every time. It's down 23% today. That is a brutal drop. You can see it's traded at $450 a share, which is almost at its 52-week low. And if you look at its history, it's back to 2021 kind of lows. So it's right there at its low for the last 5 years. But what I'm showing you is a graph of all time. And what I want to highlight is in 2008, 2009, you can see the stock volume traded higher because this was during the rollout of the ACA, or the Obamacare. So there was a concern that, like, hey, these health insurers, which the stock dipped, these health insurers like United Healthcare, which is the biggest of the top 5, are going to go out of business. We're going to go to a single payer. We're going to put them out. Well, you can see that was probably a great time to invest, because since then, I mean, it has been very nice trend on that. Here's the problem with healthcare insurance companies. Most of their funding, and I'm going to pull it up in this article, most of their funding, or a big chunk of their funding, is from the government, from Medicare and Medicaid. And when the government negotiates with you, you basically take what you get. There isn't negotiating with the government. The government says, we're just going to pay you this much, figure out a way. And that's exactly why their stock is plunging, because higher medical costs. And it's down here in this article where, let me pull this up, Medicare Advantage plans is the biggest part, hurt by lower government payments and soaring medical costs. And I'm not even going to get into the murder of their top executive, which is horrible that happened. But when the government's paying you less and your medical costs are going up, you're in a squeeze. This company is caught in the middle. Now, is the CEO going to take a big pay cut and cover it? Some people would like to say that's what's going to cause it. No. What's going to happen is this company, as well as any of these other insurance companies, they will cost shift to the insured population. So, people that have employer group insurance, guess what? Theirs is going to go up because the governments won't raise theirs. And this is exactly why, I mean, I'll tell you, this is one of the reasons that I do not have any of these stocks in our models, is because they're caught in this squeeze. Great company. I'm sure the management is good. I mean, United Healthcare, I know people that work at Humana, Elevance, CVS. I know people that work at all these companies. Great companies, great people, leadership. But when you're caught in this squeeze, there's nothing you can do. I mean, so they came right out and they just said guidance is going to be lower. They're coming out early on and saying this. This will cause some of their employees to get laid off. I hate to say it, you right size to what your payments are, and and that's why the stock's down 23%, and some of the other healthcare stocks are down as well. So, anyways, I just thought I'd throw that out. You can look at the graph; they have done well since the Obamacare came out. It's not, the ACA. I mean, they've done fine, but getting in a squeeze now. Throw on top of this, and I haven't heard it as much, but with Kennedy and Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, think of that. You also have a squeeze on like, hey, we're going to make this government pay less, be more efficient. I would expect that Medicare and Medicaid will get impacted at some point. What do you think, Corey?
Well, just I totally agree with everything you've said. At the same time, it is a durable business too, in the sense that it's not going anywhere, right? It's
Correct.
deeply entrenched. So it's a necessity. Man, I'd have to look at the fundamentals a little deeper to have a bigger opinion than that. But yeah, it's performed well until 2021.
Yeah. So, anyways, great company. If any of my friends are out there watching this, I appreciate the business. I will say, healthcare insurance companies, as much as they're kind of like hated like tobacco and oil, but a healthcare insurance company is actually aligned with your goals. They want you to be healthy. They want you to use medical care appropriately. They want you to take your medications and visit your doctors appropriately and not rush to ERs. That's our goals too. that's my goals. So I do appreciate these companies, and they negotiate with hospitals and get affordable rates, and as affordable as they can. So they do serve a purpose, and and I can appreciate what they do. So that's all we have today. Thanks everybody. We'll continue to report on round 2, 3, and 4 between Trump and Powell. I imagine that we're going to hear more words on that going forward. But it is what it is, and we'll just see what the market does with it. Thanks, everybody.